We were in major project, right? This was our project, and this is the code which we wrote yesterday. I'm audible to you all, right, everybody? Let's run this. So, down right here. Run this code. So it has published me a password. So I have to copy this password. And now whenever I will log in, it will give me a form based. So localhost 8088, that was slash. So it first routes me to a form based authentication. I have to authenticate myself over here with the valid data. Default user is user. Default password is this. I log in and then it routes me to this page. Okay. So this till here we had covered. Now what I want is if I have multiple users now. So if I have multiple users and I want to assign them roles like we had discussed yesterday, right? So if I open up yesterday's screen to show you all what the roles we had discussed here. We had discussed few roles yesterday, right? So if I have the HOD, then HOD can access all the endpoints. But if I have a subject teacher, then she has a limited access. If I have a shop owner, he can do all. But if I have a salesman, he can only do limited activities. So how do I implement that into my application? So that is what we'll be configuring today. So from scratch, I will show you how to implement security in a Spring Boot application. So let me just search for some documentation for you all. I'll fetch some documentation and we'll follow that documentation step by step. So these are the steps which we'll be following. The first thing first, we have to add a dependency that we have already added the dependency. Dependency already we have added this. Now let's go to the next step and try to add this. So we'll cover both authentication as well as authorization over here. हाँ बंद करो वो So let's try to add this. So as we had discussed, we have authentication as well as authorization. I will try to add the authentication. See, we have two types of authentication. Okay, these are security questions. So if you apply for a Java developer interview, maybe then for any sort of developer question, even for Python developer, if you apply, then this question is very common. So there are how many types of authentication? So I'll show you all the types of authentication. So we have one called as in memory. Okay, so you can think of this as your hard coded values. Okay, and second type of authentication we have called as database authentication. We can authenticate the users from the database. So here I can have millions of records, and to each user I will give, I can have millions of users, and to each user I can give a username and password. And then based on each individual username and password, I can authenticate that person whether he is a genuine user or not a genuine user. So if he is a genuine user, I will give access to the application. And if these credentials are not matching, I will show bad credentials. In hard-coded, we only have limited customers. Yes, so limited users can use the system, like one or two users. And each user should be having a role. That is mandatory. Each user should be having a role. So these are roles. So owner, salesman. So if I'm doing a real retail application for retail shop, I'll give roles as owner and salesman. If I'm doing a application for a college, then I will give role as HOD and subject teacher. And if I am doing a, let's say, online e-commerce application, like in our case, we are doing an online e-commerce application. In that case, I will give the roles as user and admin. So I'll give roles as, so admin will be the super user who will have access to all the CRUD endpoints. And the second role will be the simple user who will only have access to the create and read. If he tries to update and delete, we will tell him you don't have any authorization. So like this, we have to first define roles also. So here you have limited users. So let's say I'll create two users, one user with the admin and one user with the user. If the admin logs in, he can access all the endpoints. If user logs in, only limited endpoints. Okay, so we can have only two users. But here I can have millions of users and I can assign each of them a particular role. So if you have used Netflix, so those who have taken access for TV viewer. So I will call them as TV viewers. And those who have taken only for mobile, I will call them as mobile only viewers. So now I have two roles. So for each, even if I have millions of subscribers and millions of users I will group them as per their roles. So now in Netflix, these are the roles we have. Okay. Even in Amazon, if you say we have two, Prime member and non-Prime member. So if you are programming for coding for Amazon, okay. So here you have two. We have a prime member, that is one role. So prime member will be given 1 day delivery, no delivery charges. Latest product will be first. They'll be informed. So they'll enjoy some privileges. So in my Amazon system, the roles are prime member and non-prime member. Even if I have hundreds of customers, they will be grouped according to the roles. So every application has role-based system implemented in it. Okay, so it's a very unique feature and good feature to have in your project, and you can talk on it in the Viva for a long time. So if the examiner asks what things you have added extra to the project to make it more real time and to make it more secure, then you can talk on this topic. I have added the security to my project, and in the security, I have added both authentication as well as authorization. So security, I have added both the features. I have added this authentication also, and I have added the authorization also. And so if you have a limited number of users, then you can use in-memory authentication. But if you have large number of users, like these big brands, then you can use database authentication. I will show you both the type of authentication, and then it will be up to you, your choice, as to which one you want to apply in your project. But having an idea of both will be helpful for you all for the project as well as for the interview part of the. Okay, so let's try. So let's first try with the in-memory. So this is the code for in-memory. Now to start with the security, first thing first, what we have to do, add the dependency, which I have already added yesterday. I showed you all that after adding the dependency, the login form is opening up. So earlier when I was trying to hit any endpoint, directly the endpoint was opening. After adding the Spring Boot starter security dependency, it is routing me to the login form. So this part is done. Now the second part, what you have to do, you have to make a security configuration class which extends the web security configure adapter class. So now we have to make one more package. Now we are into the security aspect of our software development. So we will make one more package. So I'm in my project, major project CMS, and I will add one more package over here called as security. So all the security coding I will do in this package. And now in the security, first thing first, you have to make a class. What is the name of the class? That class name you can see over here. Security configuration. So let's take the same name. Security configuration. So let's come back to our program. Okay. So I say security configuration and finish. Now the security configuration class, what it does is it extends a class called web security configure adapter. Web security configure adapter. Now this web security configure adapter, now this is a configuration class, okay? This is not any business logic class. This class is a purely configuration class. So we only have to put the configuration messages over here. So we'll allot this class as configuration. And what sort of configuration is containing? This containing the security configuration. And I'm making a web-based project. So I will say it contains the web security. So I will say enable web security. So I will say enable web security. So always add these two configurations. I've also mentioned them in the document also over here. So you can just take help from here. See, configuration and enable web security. I'll share this document on the GitHub so you can use it as a reference point. Now in this security configuration class, we have two configure methods. So if you want to check the configure method which you have, just enter a control space bar. Enter control space bar and you will see all the method you can override. So I do a control space bar, control and space bar, and it gives me a list of methods which I can override. So I need to override two configure methods. One configure is the authentication manager builder. I will take this and again do a control space bar outside, and one configure with the HTTP security, this one. So I have to override these two configure methods. The first configure with the authentication manager builder, this will take care of my authentication. And the second configure with the HTTP security, this will take care of my authorization. So code is pretty streamlined. Override one configure method to enable authentication, enable another configure method to code for authorization. Periodically keep on saving the data. Okay. Now which authentication I want to use first? First I want to use in-memory authentication. So I will take this code from here and place it in the configure of the authentication manager builder. Now just take this code. So I'll just copy it and I'll paste it over here. Control Shift F. Okay, let's try to on separate lines. See, so now what I have done is I have used, and now I have only have two users in my application. One user is ABC, password ABC, and he is my admin. And I have given one more. So if I don't give this and if I just give a question mark over here, now my application has only one single user. And that single user is ABC and ABC. So when I will open the login page, I have to enter these credentials and then I will be authenticated. So now let's say the shop only has the owner. So the owner himself is working in the shop and he is managing the entire business of the shop. So he is the only user of the software. So if you go to the pharmacy shop, that pharmacy shop is operated by the pharmacy owner. So he is the one who has access to the entire software. So it is like this now. So log into that software. I will have to use this username and this password, and will be used by the admin user. Okay. As I successfully log in, I want to go to the home page. So I will tell this. So now as I am showing the password as plain text. So if you are showing password as plain text, then you have to add this to your code that there is no password. Do a control shift O and import everything. That there is no password encoder. And now let's override the configure method. The second configure method. Let me just search for the code. I will just show you. In this configure method, what I will do, I will just write simple that I'll just write this much. So what I'm doing over here is after the successful authentication of the login, directly route to my root. So where is my root over here? In one of my controllers, in my project controller, I gave a root over here. So after the login form is successfully done, then directly route it to the root. And after logout, again go back to the login. So much I have done in the config. So let me save this now. So I'll do a stop and I'll do a restart. And let's check whether the application is working or not. Let's check whether the application is now able to access this. So now it will not show me the username, that password over here on the screen, because I have told Spring that I have made my own password over here. So now when I will try to hit the login, the credential I have to enter is ABC and ABC. Now if I try to hit the root endpoint, it will take me to this page and I have to now give username ABC and password ABC. On successful, it is routing me to here, the login page. So this is working. So this much only code is fine. So I'll copy this code and I will add it to the documentation so you guys can benefit from that. So now I don't have to rely on the password sent from Spring. I can make my own password. Okay. So I can check and remember also. So again, if I log out, it will route me back to the login page. Now, if I try to enter any other user, X, Y, Z, and any random value I enter, it will be bad credentials. So now I have to log in with ABC and ABC compulsory. So right now I have only one single user. So what if I want to add one more user to the application? So as I said, in memory is hard coded data. So I have to come here, use a dot and again give all this. So I can add another user now. So let's say I give one more the XYZ and with XYZ. And I say he is the simple user. So now I have one shop owner who can log in with this credential and he has admin access. By giving admin access means he can hit all the endpoints. And this is a salesman of that shop and he is having access, a role as user. So he will only be able to access the create and read. This user cannot update and delete. So as of now, let's just check whether XYZ can log in or not. Earlier, it was not able to log in because I did not add that user. Now I have added two users. Now these two can use the system. Let's check. So again, let's log out. And now ABC can log in successful. Log out. And now let's type XYZ and XYZ and click on login. See, XYZ can also log in. But now I need to restrict their usage. If I need to restrict their usage now. Now I have not given them any restrictions. Both can do equal number of tasks. Now even XYZ can come and XYZ can do a read. It is reading all the values. XYZ can add. Okay. It is able to read. It is able to add. It is able to update. Ajay to Akshay. It is able to update. And it is able to delete also. So see, it is able to. So I have logged in with the XYZ. That is a simple user. So even though he is a simple user, he is trying to access all the endpoints. So now I need to restrict them. So I can do the restriction part over here in the authorization. So I will say only the admin. I will say only the admin can do all the operations. The simple user should have limited access. So I will grant the access over here in this part of the code. Okay, so just check how I do this. So that code also I have shared over here. Okay, so let's take this code now. Now I will modify this simple code and paste this. And now see what I will say. That the root and the create. So which was the create endpoint? Which was the endpoint for create? So I go to the customer controller and the customer home. This also both can view. So I will give the root as well as the customer home. So I'm giving all those endpoints which everybody can access. So root everybody can access, customer home everybody can access, and after customer home, to add a new customer, we have this endpoint, add customer, right? So we had a customer form one, add customer form. Okay, we have had this one, new customer. So new customer also both can access. Okay, so yes. I'll just give the endpoints. So the create customer and the view customer and the home page can be accessed by both user and admin. And similarly, I will also say comma for the product also. Similarly for the product. So the product home, okay, the product home and the new product. This these endpoints can be accessed by both if you are a user or an admin both. But when it comes to update and delete, so which were the endpoints of update and delete? So when I went to customer list, Which endpoint is doing the updation? This endpoint, customer form, whatever data after this. But the update, okay, any data after this. And the delete. Yeah. This can only be done by the admin. This can only be done by the admin. So similarly, it goes for products also. With customer form, delete customer. And for product list also, update product form. Update product form. And the delete product. These endpoints can be accessed only with the admin endpoint as authority admin. Update product form and delete product as authority admin. And on successful login, I will route to the home page, and this will be for everybody. After logout, again open login, and if there is a person who is trying to access, so if the user is trying to delete, I'll route him to /403. So I will make a /403 endpoint. So I'll go to the project controller, and there I will add an endpoint 403. So I'll just check it from here. I'll add a request mapping. So when the user tries to update or delete, he or she will get a 403. Then I have to also make a view by the name 403. I have to make a view .ht. What code should be in the 403? Just copy this text and just paste it over here. So now I guess everything is sorted. If I go to my security configuration, I'll say the root and the home page, the view all customers, view all the customer home and add a new customer, product home and add a new product. Both can do, admin and user can do, but the update form for the customer and the delete form for the customer, and update form for the product and delete for the product can only be done by the admin. After login, go to the home page. After logout, go back to login. And if someone tries to access, send it to 403. Now this is looking good. Let's try to run now the application check. Okay, so now I want you to help me out as to what should happen now. So if I log in with ABC and ABC, what role is ABC? What is the role for ABC, guys? ABC is what role? ABC is a admin. So ABC should carry out all the CRUD operations. Let's check. So ABC can view the customers, can add a customer. Okay. Okay. So it is able to do all the activities, can read, can create, can update. So Rishabh, I want to say Rishabh wicket keeper and submit. So Rishabh wicket keeper. And if I want to delete, I can delete also. So as the logged in user is the admin, he has authority over all the application. Now let's log out from the admin and let's log in as a simple user. Who is a simple user? XYZ is a simple user. So let's log in with XYZ now. So I log in. So he is able to have read access. So simple user is able to read. He also has create access. So he's able to create. Okay. Take any other name. And he's able to read also, create also. Now, if he tries to delete, should the system allow the simple user to delete? Yes or no? Tell me. No. Correct. So he will not be allowed. So he will be routed to which endpoint? Which endpoint will he be routed to? 403. So and here I have made a 403 in my project controller. So the currently logged in user is called as principal. So currently logged in user is called as principal. So who is the principal now? The currently logged in person is called as principal. So who is the principal? Principal is XYZ. So it will tell, hi XYZ, you do not have permission to access this page. So who is the user, Virender? Which user? Yes. So that becomes the principal. So it will tell, hi XYZ, the name of XYZ. So it will fetch the name from here. It will fetch the name of XYZ from here. Whatever name I have given here. So it will say, hi XYZ, and you do not have permission to view this page, and it will give a 403 error message. Okay. Now let's check whether. So now if I try to do a delete over here, see what it's telling. Forbidden access and hi XYZ, you do not have permission to access this page. So he goes back, and if he tries to update, will it allow him to update? Should it allow XYZ to update? Yes, no. No. So if I click on update, it will say, hi XYZ, you do not have permission to access this page. Like this, we have added authentication also, and we have added authorization also. But this is only within the application. Very limited number of users I have. So, but if I am Netflix or if I am Amazon, do I have only two customers? One Amazon Prime customer and one non-Prime customer? Or in Netflix, only one customer for mobile view? and one customer for television view? No. So there we authenticate from the database. So here if I go and increase the users, I have to increase the users manually from here, right? Yes, Virender, correct, Aditya. There are lakhs of customers, so you have to use database authentication. Absolutely correct. So if I want to add one more user from here, just use this and. So do not use a semicolon over here. And use the and you can add as many users, but these are all hard-coded users. So this is okay for a simple application. This is okay for a simple application. So if I say, now let's say I recalibrate them, A and A, B and B. These are two of my admins. And Y and Z are two of my simple users. So admin, user, your semicolon. And here I am seeing the password as a clear text. So when I am seeing the password as clear text, this also is not appreciated that you are exposing the password. So when we will do the database authentication, I will show you all how to encrypt the password and save in the database. So this also you can answer in your Viva, that how did you store your password? So you can say, I did not save it as plain text, as clear text, because saving the password as clear text will not give me total security. So we will encrypt this. So ZZZ will look something like this. Password will look something like this. And we will save this string in the database. So if the user enters ZZZ, we will convert it to the bcrypt. We'll encrypt this data. And then we will check, okay, is it matching with ZZZ? Then allow the user to access, else no. So we will not store the password as clear text. Rather, we will encrypt and store the text. Okay, so I'll show you some encryption algorithms also today. So today's session should be a good learning curve for you guys. We'll see some encryption algorithm also. And I will show you database authentication. So now how many users do I have now? Now how many users I have? Total I have 4, right? In which 2 have admin privilege and 2 have normal user privilege. So now I will log in with a particular user and you have to tell me what all operations he or she will be able to perform. So now I will log in with B. Tell me now, what all activities can this user do? What all activity can this person do in the system? Just write CRUD, only CR. Yes, CRUD, correct? Create, read, delete. You missed out read, Virender. When we are getting all the users, we call them as reading. So create, read, update, and delete, right? Very good. So now let's check. Let's log in. So he is able to, now let's go to product now. Last time we had check for customer. Now let's check for product. So he's able to read. Yes. He's able to add. Let's add a product. Okay, let's say some bangles. Category, let's say jewelry. Product color, gold. Price, 5,000. Add product. See, now that bangles of gold get added over here. So he's able to read, he's able to add. Let's say they were platinum bangles, not gold bangles. So I click on update. So now can BBB update? So now they were platinum bangles and 50,000. And I change, so it changes to platinum and 50,000. And if I want to delete this trouser, I can delete it. And now I can log out. And now if I log in with why, what access should I have? Tell me. On the same product list. Any guesses? Read. I can also create, no? read and create. See, here we have given the access, no? So I told that the this slash home is you can view the records. Okay, so create and read for. So here I'm able to read. I'm able to create. Guys, just take a break of around 5 minutes, guys. I'll be back. Okay, just give me a 5 minutes breather. Yes, guys, I'm back. So who's the currently logged in user now? Y. So now if I try to do a delete and let's say it says what? Hi, Y. You don't have permission to access this page. Okay. So our authentication and authorization both are working fine. Authorization is working fine. This is the example. And authentication is working fine. So if I log in with any one apart from these users, apart from A, B, Y, and Z. If I log in apart from this, log in with QWE and any password, it will say bad credentials. So authentication is also working and authorization also is working. But the limitation of this technique is it is working only in memory. So now I wanted more real time that I want to authenticate this from the database, right? That is our second use case. So let's try to implement that also into our application. So it will be an end-to-end complete package, a complete clone of a e-commerce application with all the CRUD operation as well as with total security. Okay. So let's try to implement that. I have steps I have mentioned over here. So maybe I'll go according to this document one by one. And we're also recording this session. So once you all watch the recording also, you will understand better. So now what we have to do step by step, let me show you all. So first we have to make a many-to-many relationship. So those who are well versed with the database programming can relate what I'm trying to say faster. And for other guys, let me draw something. Okay, let me draw something. Okay, so if I have student, okay, or this is simple. I take an example, actor and movie. Well, let me first show you all department and employee. So how will we map these two entities, the department and the employee entity? The relationship are, options are this: 1:1, 1:many, and many is to many. These are the three options we have. So can I map it with 1:1? 1:1 would mean one department has only one employee. So that would not be realistic. I'll upload all the documents on the GitHub portal, Aditya. Some sample project reports also, and all the document which I am referring, I'll publish all of them on the GitHub repo, and I'll share the link with you all. Okay? Perfect. So how will you relate department with employee? One department, one employee? No. Okay, if I had two entities called state and chief minister, how would you relate that? One state has one chief minister. So that is acceptable, 1:1. But one department, will it have one employee? So here we have one department has many employees. So the arrow goes from one to many. Arrow goes from one to many. So we'll draw like this. One department has many employees. Can the arrow be drawn in the reverse order? Can I say like this, that one employee works in many departments? No, right? So this is a unidirectional one to many. One to many only in one direction. But there are some scenarios wherein there is a one to many in bi-direction. Let me give an example. Like actor and movie. So can I say one actor has worked in many movies? This would be true, right? One actor has worked in many movies. So this arrowhead is true. Can I also say one movie has many actors? Can I say this also? One movie, one to many from left to right also. So this is a bidirectional one to many. And a bidirectional one to many is called as many to many. Okay, this is simple logic. A bidirectional one to many is called as many to many. Is called as many to many. So now I will make two entities, say role and user. Role and user. So what are the two main roles? So I'll have role ID and role name. And so role ID 1 as admin, role ID 2 as simple user. And role is to you. So let me first take this. Role is to user is many to many. One role can have many users and one user can have many roles. Okay. So if I take the example of the subject teacher and the HOD. So let's say I have two departments. I have the computer engineering department and I have mechanical engineering department and I have the ENTC department. So I'll have how many HODs? Three HODs. So Alice is the HOD for computer. Ben is the HOD for mechanical and Chris is the HOD for ENTs. And we'll have subject teachers also. Okay. So Tom, Jim, these are subject teachers for computer science. Harry, John are subject teachers for mechanical. And Smith and Jack are subject teachers for your ANTC department. And if you remember, the HOD would also take one subject. HOD would also take one subject per semester. So we have HOD and subject teacher. Two roles. Okay. So do we have only one HOD or multiple HODs? So we have multiple HODs. And HOD also is a subject teacher. Okay. So if I have your roles and your users. Okay. So these are the HOD. Okay. So now Alice has two roles. She is HOD also and she teaches a subject also. So one to many and there are many subject teachers. So we have bi-directional one to many over here. Okay. So roles. I have one role as HOD and I have second role as subject teacher. And I have multiple users. Okay. Alice is a user. Tom and Jim. Now, and we have other users also, right? All we'll add all the users. 4 is Ben, 5 is Harry, and 6 is John. So one to many from left to right. One HOD to HOD. So one to many from left to right. Okay. And one subject teacher and two subject teachers. So many to one from right to left also. So like this, the relation between roles and users is many to many. So I need to create these entities. Okay. So I need to create these entities in my application. One is role, second is users, and map them with many to many. So how I do that? So one role will have many users and one user will have many roles. Okay. Simple as that. So one role will have many users and one user will have many roles. So we have with us. So how to create this many to many in our application? Let's try to check that. Okay. Yes, one student can learn multiple subjects also is. So let's try to come here. So in my application now, what I will do, I will go and add the entity tables. Okay. So I have made the entity tables over here. So in my this, I can just take a reference from here instead of coding all over again. So my entity table is role and user. So let's make these two tables over here in our application. So go to the entity class and make a new class by the name role and make a new class called as user. Okay. So in the role class, what do we need to put? In the role class, we need to add role ID and role name. So just add this much. In the role class, just have to add these two attributes. Role ID and role name, annotate with add entity. So a table gets created for this. And then add the stereotype thing which we are adding always. So go to source, constructor using fields, and generate all args constructor, no args constructor, and make the setter getters. Source, generate, setter getter. Select all and you generate. Okay. Import the entity control shift 4 from persistence. Okay, this much is perfect. Let's make the user table now. So what we have to put in the user table? Just put these things. So user table, just add this much. Annotate with add entity. And add the same over here also. Setter getters, no args constructor, all args constructor, and source. So add the setter getter we can hold on because I want to add one more thing over there. Now to add the many to many, this is the code we have to put in the user table. This is the code we have to put for many to many. So it will go and make my third table. That name will be user underscore rows. And that third table will have the foreign keys of both of these. So I'll just copy this code and put it over here in our user. And now we can give Now you can give the setter getters. Go save all. Now let's find. So these tables will be created in the backend. So if you go to the database now, you will see that the tables have been created for these. Let's check here. One second. So now I have these two tables over here. So now first let me add details to my role table now. So I go to my roles table. Okay. So in my roles table, I have two roles. So likewise, you can add as many entries in this now. So I go to the insert over here and I make my role. So if I'm Amazon Prime, I will say role ID. It is auto increment. I will just say Prime customer and second role will be non-prime customer. If I am Netflix, I will say TV viewer and mobile viewer. That is, I will make role as per my application. So now in my application, I'm making the role as admin. So the role ID will be automatically assigned, and second user is role. So now I have only two persons, two roles, and the two roles in my system are admin, whose role ID is 1, and user, whose role ID is 2. And now let me add users over here, okay? So we can add as many users we want, and user ID will automatically give. Now, as I said, password we will encrypt and store. So to encrypt the password, we have a utility called bcrypt. So if you just go to Google and say bcrypt generator, okay, I'll put it on the chat for you all. So what you all need to search. So bcrypt generator, if you go and hit enter, it will lead you to this page. And now you can enter whatever string and it will give you the encryption. So let's say my first admin user is Alice. So the password for Alice is Alice123. I say encrypt and see it gives me a hash code. So I will store this hash code in my database. So while logging, I will say Alice123. But while storing, I will use this. So I copy this and I paste it in my password. And the username I'll keep is Alice. Secondly, my second user will be Ben. So I will come here and make a new password for Ben. So I will say, make me a encrypt password for Ben, encrypt it, and I will copy this string and paste it over here, saying my second user is Ben. So I can have two users now, like we had AA and BBB. So now I have two users. User one is Alice with this password and Ben with this password. Now I have to assign the roles. So as it is one to many, I will assign the roles. So I will say that user ID 1, I want to give role number 1. And user number 2, I want to give role number 2. So what happens over here now? Here now, user ID 1, that is who? That is Alice will have role ID 1. That is Alice is the admin. And user ID 2 will have role ID 2. So Ben is the simple user. Okay, so like this, we can add any number of users you want in the database. Yeah, more or less, even the hash calculator does the same job, right? So once this setup is done, now I need to go to my database in the program and we have to program. So right now I was using in my configuration in memory authentication. So I will clear this off. Okay, I will just comment this out that now I am not using in memory authentication. So now I have to tell then what authentication are we using. So here I will tell that. So here what we will do is so we will tell the we go to our security class. So we go to our security class and this object which is there auth. This auth object which is there, I will tell to this auth the authentication provider I am using. Okay, so I will make a function my, and I will just use the same thing over here. So wherever I use my, it is my own customized. So I will say I have a function which will help you provide the authentication. Now this function is there, it is not there. So we will say let's create it. So we create this function. Now what authentication are we going to use now? So we will be using DAO authentication. So I make an object of DAO authentication here. Okay, DAO authentication provider and DAO authentication object I make equals to new DAO authentication provider. DAO means database. Now, when we were making this using in memory, we had to pass two things, the user and the password details. So now to this DAO authentication provider, I need to pass two things, which I have to inform it. So I will say dot set user detail service. And again, I will make my own method, my. There is a function called as what? Set user detail service. And I will make my own method, my, and then just call user detail service. And this DAO also needs a set password encoder. So I'll make my own method, my, and I will say password encoder. Now these two methods are not there, and once I have this all returned, I will return the DAO. Okay, now make these two methods, create them. Now password encoder, I'm using which password encoder? Bcrypt, right? So directly I can use that. So I can just pass an object of that, return new bcrypt password encoder. And now as I'm using bcrypt password encoder, I will not use this plain text. So this was when I was not using any password. So I will say I was using get no password encoder, but now I'm using a password encoder. So I will say I'm using bcrypt password encoder. And user detail service, I will now return an object of the class new and we will make a class, okay, which we can give any name, and let's say I say as we are doing a CMS, right? So I'll say CMS user detail service. I'll create this, okay, and annotate all these three methods as add bean. We have written add bean below. Just copy this add bean and annotate it over here. If the method is a bean, it has to be a public method. Bean method cannot be private. Annotate add bean and make it public. This one, and the third one also. Make it annotate add bean and make it public. Okay. So like this, we have to create. Now this class is not there, not created. So we'll have to create this class. Okay. We have to create this class. So let's go and create that class. So we'll create this class, create a class by CMS, and we'll put a security package only. Now this class has a method called load user by username, which will search whether the principal exists or not. So when I open the login form and the details which I passed over there, that detail is of the. So when I open the login form and I enter over there AAA and password also AAA. So whatever username I have passed, that is the principal. So first we have to search and check whether the principal is existing in the database or not. So this function will check that. It will check whether that principal exists in the database or not. So to communicate with the database, we have to have a repository and we have to check for the user to exist or not. So I will go here and make a user repository. That's the interface. I will say user repository, and then we will say extends JPA repository, which entity. So I'm making it for this entity. Let's copy the entity name, user, and what is the type of primary key over there? The primary key type is of type long. So I take this and I pass it in the user repository of type long. Import both of them. Import the user from my application. So this is my user, major processing entity. And now in this, we have to write a function which I can search the user by his username. So write a function public, which will give me a user, and function can be find by, and whatever is the name of the entity you have, username. So where is it? Is a repository. Find by username and pass the username as a string. So to return a object of type user, and I can call this function. What I do was in this, I auto wire the user repository over here. You have to annotate it with at repository. That auto wiring can go. Okay. Wired it. And then using this user repository, we can check for the user exists or not. Find by username. Which username? Username. Control Shift O, user from our application, and we will say if the user is null, so we'll throw an exception. Throw new this exception. User not found exception. And pass any message. User does not exist. And if it is there, then I will give this user for decoration to the user decoration class. Same security, we will pass this user to the we need to define a constructor over here. In the user decoration, we make the user and we will make a constructor of user decoration which takes the user as an argument and stores it in this user. Control Shift O, user from my application. So now once I have this user over here, once I have this user over here in my application, once I have it in my application now, user decoration, now we need to override these methods. So first we have to assign the roles to the user. Okay, so we can copy that code from here. Just copy this code and paste it. So Control Shift O, role from our application, list from util, and whatever your role dot get role name. And now for the password, we will return the user's password. Return user dot get password. For the username, we will say return user dot get username. Is the account expired? No. So I will say return true. Yes, the hard coded return true. Is the account non-locked? Yes, return true. Is the credential non-expired? Yes, return true. Is it enabled? Return true. See, look. This much is sufficient now for us to implement the. Yeah, this much is sufficient. So we can try to now access and try to check if this is working. I've done all the configuration. Okay. Okay, let me just check once. This is a service class, okay? Or not this with @service. The service class. So not it with @ service. Yeah, this one was missing. Rest everything is good. Security configuration, I've noted it with configuration security and you have been public, been public, been public, been. I've commented out this. Authorization remains the same. CMS service, auto add the repo and find by username. And the user is now through this, else give it to the user decoration. And the user decoration will not decorate the user. Okay. Here, user and user is always from my own practice, right? User is from my own practice. Yes, I guess we have implemented most of that. So now let me try to just do a stop and let's do a refresh and run the code all over again. Let's check if it is adding the security. So who are the two users we have? Alice and Alice123 and Ben123, correct? So let's open up our application. First, confirm that the application has started execution successfully. So it gives me this message, successful. Let's go to the login page. Okay, we just do a fresh login. My screen is visible to you, all right? And now let me log in with Alice first, the super user. So I say Alice, and the password I had given was Alice123. So I log in, and it logs in successfully. Okay, and now as Alice is a super user, now Alice tries to do all the activities. Let's say Alice goes to the customer list. She can read all the customers. She can add a new customer. Okay. So add any customer. Okay. Will- will- One second, guys. Okay, so Will Smith will @gmail.com 6677889900 mail. So it is able to create also, read, create. If I wish to update from Will Smith to Will Jack, it updates. If I wish to delete, I can delete also. Okay, now they are no hard coded. Now I'm fetching this from the database. Now let me log out. And now let me log in with a simple user. When the credential Ben123, it logs in. And when I go to customer list and try to do a delete, it says, hi Ben, you do not have permission to access this page. So I have implemented the end-to-end security now with the DAO authentication also. So we can keep on adding database, the users to the database, and authentication authorization will be taken care of internally. Make sense to you all, guys? Okay. Amar sir has shared the attendance. You all can take this time to mark your attendance. So if you observe, here we have other attributes also. The account expired or not. So if I had taken an Amazon or Netflix subscription for 1 year, so after 1 year my account expires, okay, or they lock my account. If they feel suspicious that my account multiple people are using with different IDs, so if they have doubt that this account is being misused, so they might lock my account also. My password also might get expired. So if you see a banking application, that in the banking applications, follow, after every 3 months they ask you to change your password. So even though my password, which I set Alice123, I set it on 29th of November. It will expire on after 3 months. That is on 29th February, if it is a leap year. So on 1st of March, if I log in with the same password, if on 1st of March I log in with the same password, it will say credentials expired. So I have to reset my password. Okay. And the account status you can check whether it is enabled or disabled. So by default, so now I have, for every user, I'm just hard coded sending true, true, true. So we can check this also. So if we can set an expiry date to the account. So if I set the account expiry date of, let's say, 28th November, and if I try to log in today, it will say unable to log in, account has expired. So we can try to set those attributes also. So for that, what I have to do is I have to modify my user table now. So I have to set all these configurations over here then. So along with the password, the user will have other details also. Okay, so let me fetch that and show it to you all if you are interested in that. Okay, so we'll have more dynamic. So this will not have that. Let me check if this batch. Okay. So we'll try to make it more closer to the real-time application. This also did not have it. So let me go to my refresher batch. See here, I had set all the details. So I can set all attributes also to the customer. To the account expiry date, block status, credential expiry date, and enabled status. So I take all these values and we will put it into our project. All these attributes, I will put it into our user also. Now to read these values, we have to write those getter setter getters. So I will say right click, source, generate setter getters, and generate. Okay. Now once done, I can modify my decoration now. Now I will not check hardcode value. So first I will fetch today's date. Okay. So and check with the expiry date of the user. So if today's date is greater than the expiry date, I will return false. So if the account expiry date, let's say the account expiry date was 1 November 2024, and today's date is 29 November 2024. Should I allow him to log in or should I tell him account expired? Yes, guys, what do you all say? So should I authenticate this user or should I reject the authentication saying that your account has expired? Please renew your account. Expired, right? So if the today's date is greater than is after, we have using after. So if the today's date is after the expiry date means account has been expired. So return a false. Else return a true. So this logic I will apply over here. So now true will not be for every user. I will fetch the data and then I will check whether it is true or false. So this logic I will apply over here. So just write this. So now see. Now this is account expired. And all these values I will not just hard code. I will take it from here now. I have this logic written. I'll just copy and paste this logic for you guys. Now we will not hard code this. So we will paste this logic in. So when the user says account expired, I will get his expiry date in the expiry date variable. I will get today's date in the today's date. And I will say if the account expiry date is after today's date, means is a valid user. That account will expire after today. So I will return true, else I will return false. Similar, I want to check if the account is locked or unlocked. So if 1 means is a genuine user, account is active. So if the account status is 1 means true. If account status is 0 means not true. Same over here. And now when I will create the user, now when I will create the user in the database, I have to pass these parameters also. So now my user table will be a bit complex. Here, now I have to edit this user. So if the user status is 1 means is active user and expiry date. So if I set the expiry date of Ben to, let's say, next year, 1 year validity, and account is non-locked 1 and credentials will expire after 3 months. Let's say I set a, so let's say after 4 months, let's say. So I set it to 29 March 2025. So I set these details. So currently account is enabled, expiry also is not there, it is not locked, and credentials are also valid. Everything is valid for Alice. And same I'll set for Ben also now. Let's set account is active and 1 year duration I will give. Account is non-locked and credential expiry after 4 months. I'll just take this and I will say 03/2025. So now all of these details are perfectly valid for both of them. 1 year expiry date and 3-4 months of credential expiry. So now if I log in with them, now if I log in with these credentials, where are we? Okay. So now if I log in with these credentials, let's log in with Ben now. Okay, so Ben, everything is valid. It will allow me to log in. See, perfectly. If I go and adjust anything over here from the database, so let's say I check that Ben's account expired yesterday. So yesterday the account expired. So I set the expiry date to 28 November 2024. Now, Ben account has expired yesterday. Now, will it allow Ben to log in? Will it authenticate Ben now? Or will the authentication fail? Tell me. Will it authenticate when or will it reject the access? Yes, it will reject. Let's check it out. And what reason will it give for rejection? Reason it will give is account expired. Okay. So let's come over here and now let's log out. And again, let's re-log in with Ben account again. So let's again re-log in with Ben. And I enter his password Ben123. And now it says what? User account has expired. Now I raise a request. I go and increase the validity to 28/11/2025. Okay. Now, if Alice's password has expired, let's say Alice's password credential expiry date was on 20th November 2024. So now, can Alice log in now? Because the password has expired on 2020/11, right? So tell me, will Alice be able to log in? Let's log out and let's try to log in with Alice. Giving password as Alice123, everything is right. And now see when I log in, the authentication fails, it says user credentials are expired. Okay. So we've done the security from end to end with all the options, guys. Okay. We explored all the options of security. So I'll just push this code on to GitHub. Meanwhile, you all mark your attendance. I hope the sessions were beneficial, guys. You can drop in your reviews and comments on the chat. Meanwhile, I upload this onto GitHub and I'll share all the documents with you all. Please drop in your comments, how you like the sessions, and what you got to learn in them. So yeah, finish. I mean, no, Yes, guys, I have pushed the entire code for today, and I've sent some project reports also on the chat for your reference. You can use that to make your major and minor projects. I've sent one major report for engineering students, and there's one minor report also. Attendance links has been shared, Pramod. I'll just refresh it once again. And today's all work I have pushed onto the GitHub repo. I'll share the link of the repo also with you all, those who don't have the link. So this has all the documentation and all the code which we have written over these 5 days. And I've posted some sample project reports also for your reference. You all can make use of those project reports. Okay, so I've shared that. Yeah, Virender, I pushed it onto the GitHub on this repo, the reports. So I've titled them project report. So it is very easy for you to understand which is the project report. Okay. Okay, then Amar sir, I'm done for the day. Anything else you want to make an announcement? I'll jump off.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Amar sir, for the coordination. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. All the best.
So, dear students, from Monday onwards, we will have a sessions on Python full stack, and we'll cover mini and major project as well. So, however, we covered for this full stack Java as well, no? So, likewise, we will have a Python full stack. Okay, and after the Python full stack, we'll take the Python full stack for next 5 days from Monday onwards. So, Saturday, Sunday, there will be no any session. Again, next Monday to Friday, we'll have a sessions on Python. After that, again for 5 days, we'll have a artificial intelligence and machine learning. Clear? Any doubts? Super. Others, guys? Are the instructions are clear? So Saturday, Sunday will not have any session. Our next session will be on Monday, and that we are going to start on Python full stack. Yeah, I shared the attendance link or the Zoom and YouTube as well. I hope everybody mark the attendance. If not, please mark your attendance. Guys, you're enjoying the session? Super. Thank you. Thank you all for the comment. Okay, then Chalo, thank you so much for attending the day 5 of this program. And again, there will be 2 days of gap, but no need to worry. You can practice, and whatever we covered in these entire 5 days, I would like to see a such kind of the project from your side as well. And it's going to help to you as well, right? So till the Monday, take care of yourself, take care of your family, enjoy the weekend, but keep practicing and keep coding and keep growing. And your host, Amar, is finding for the day. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Have a nice day ahead.